Hey guys, it's Joe. I just wanted to take some time today, go through the D&D Beyond character sheets, and show you guys just a quick walkthrough of how to use it. And if you have any questions, go ahead and hit me up with those. But I made this little bard named Testy McTesterton, and he's going to try to walk us through this. We'll start at the very top and work our way across until we're all the way to the bottom. So these numbers here at the top, Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma, these stats will be for your checks, like a strength check. If you want to try to push down a door, or if you want to try to grapple somebody, that's going to be a contested strength check. You're going to roll a strength check. They're going to roll a strength check, and whoever rolls higher is going to either grapple or escape the grapple. Or if you want to smash down a door, just depends on how strong the door is. Dexterity, that's like if you want to do something that, if you go down here, like acrobatics is a dexterity check. If you click on it, it tells you. For stunts, including dives, rolls, somersaults, and flips. And then charisma check would be like, this guy's a bard, so if he wants to play a musical instrument or something, this check here will say how well he roll or how well he plays it. So yeah, you can actually click on these to roll. Like, oh yeah, there we go. He rolled a natural 20 plus his 3, so he rolled a 23. So he's a really good bard. What do I have to say? And then this proficiency bonus here, this is by levels. This gets added to anything you have proficiency in. So like this history right here, I have proficiency in. Performance I have proficiency in, and persuasion I have proficiency in. Now you get to choose your proficiencies when you choose your character at the very beginning. You get to select certain things you have proficiency in. And then over here, my walking speed. This is, I know it's going to be hard to believe, my walking speed. This is how much you can move per round. Inspiration is a little thing if your character does something that is great, or just something that really makes me laugh, or something that maybe, since we're streaming it, if the chat comments on a lot or really enjoyed, I can actually give you a point of inspiration, which will pretty much allow you to do something great. You can get advantage on a roll where when you would go to make a roll, you actually can roll twice and take the higher result. And then over here is your hit points. Testy here has 15 hit points. If he were to, say, take 8 damage, I can type an 8 in there and damage. And then he is taking damage. If he gets healed, I can type a 2 in here and heal. And he is healed too. If for some reason we decide to take a break, I can take a short rest. On a short rest, I can spend hit dice to heal. So say I want to spend 1 hit dice, I will heal 1d8 plus 1. It automatically adds it in there. And say I didn't heal that much, I want to use my other short rest dice to get up to max health. And it automatically adds those in there. Now it depends. Some people have other abilities they can use during short rest. If they have these, they'll come up here. And I'll say I took my short rest. I'll just reset it anyways. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to make the short rest go away. Oh, derp. I'll say something else happened and I took 10 damage. And then the whole party, we're out of spells, we're out of everything, it's not looking good. We could take a long rest. And that will usually re-heal everything and reset all of your abilities. Now this is a full 8-hour rest. And it looks like I broke the system. No, it just has to go through and check every ability you've used and reset it. So sometimes it takes a minute. And then we'll start over here. These are saving throws. Saving throws are something that are required based if something happens to you, and you can use this to get out of it. Dexterity saving throw. Say you open up a chest and it's trapped. A dexterity saving throw can actually allow you to get out of the way before the trap would be deployed. This happens a lot. Like, a lot of things happen to make you do saving throws. If somebody tries to grapple you using their strength, you can use your strength as a saving throw to try to stop that. Saving throws usually aren't something that you choose to make. It's something that you are forced to make. And the same thing with this is you just click on the 5. Like if you're making a dexterity saving throw, and it gives you your bonus. It actually gives you the roll and tells you in the corner what the total is. Now, if you have something like this character has advantage against being frightened. So say they would use an ability that would try to make me frightened. And say it was affecting it was a wisdom saving check, that if I failed the saving check, then I would be frightened. Instead, I would roll 2. And take one of these horrible results. Hopefully you don't hope to roll that low when you have advantage. Over here is all of your checks. If you want to, and you can click on these to get descriptions about all of them. Deception, if you're trying to lie to somebody, you would do a deception check. And you would just click it, and it will roll and add your modifier. If you found a magical item and you want to try to figure out what it is without taking it somewhere to have somebody look at it, you do an Arcana check. And everything has a number that needs to be met in order to succeed. If you find a mythological item, that 20 might not even be enough. But if you find just like a +1 dagger that just gives you +1 to your attacks, that roll there would definitely be enough. And say you find a crime scene and you want to do investigation. That's just that you click it, it rolls it, and this D&D Beyond actually adds the number in for you, which is really nice. And like I said down here, the Bard with performance. If he wants to put on another show. This show didn't go as well, but it shows you how to do it. Down here, you can see your proficiencies and your languages. You can see that the Bard here has a hand crossbow, a long sword, a rapier, a short sword, and he has simple weapon proficiencies. He's also proficient with a couple of different musical instruments, and he speaks Common and Halfling. Now you can add stuff down here if something happens through the story that would allow you to, and to do that you just click on this box, go up here to add a new proficiency, and you can say you and your friend have a secret language. You can add a secret language that only you and your friend can talk. Or if you, for some reason, something happens to your character where they lose a certain weapon proficiency for some reason, and you need to pick up something else, that's how you would do that. Up here is your senses. These are making a roll without making a roll. This is like if you want to find out if you think somebody's lying to you, that would be an insight check. Or you could try to use your passive insight. Your passive insight you don't have to roll for. It would be the same as automatically rolling a 12. That's like, man, if you're just not feeling lucky, if you feel like you're going to roll a 3 on your dice, you can choose to use your passive. Or sometimes you might not have to choose to roll at all. If, like, he tries to bluff and if he's trying to lie to you and he does a very bad job on his roll, sometimes I'll just be like, all right, well, your passive insight sees right through this. You don't even have to, you just know he's lying. All right, so then this box over here is initiative. At the start of each battle, everyone will roll initiative, and the highest roll goes first. And if you're tied, if 2 players tie, like say somebody else had rolled an 8, then you would use the dexterity modifier. So since I would have a +3, if they would have lower than a +3, I would go ahead of them. And this is your armor class. This is the ability to be hit. If somebody would try to attack you, they will roll down here, like say somebody's trying to attack him with this dagger. They rolled a 5 plus 5, so they rolled a 10, so it would not hit because it doesn't match 14. And then he has no defenses. He has no active conditions. If, say, I would make your character blinded, then you would just click this. I just want to see if it would do that or not. Like, since you are blinded, you can't see. I mean, that's simple. If you want to know what these are, you can read on them. Which is really nice just to be able to go to this. Then you can read through and see what all the conditions are. And you can also see what all the exhaustions are. Try not to get exhausted is all I can say. It's not fun. Take your rests. Alright, and over here, this is the meat and potatoes of the entire thing. This is your skills. Or your spells, your actions. Once per round, you get an attack action, a bonus action, and a reaction. Anything other than that is considered a free action. Free actions don't take any time to do. Alright, I'll show you this right here because this might help a little bit. This guy, Testy McTesterton, does have a rapier. Right now it's not showing up in the attacks. So if you go to your inventory and make sure your rapier is equipped. Now when I go back to my attacks, the rapier is there. So another thing I like to do is right here under my attacks, I like to, if I have any spells that are attacks, like this Vicious Mockery, and sometimes even the Cure Wounds, I would like to, you can click on this Vicious Mockery, go over here to Customize, and display as an attack. Now, when I go to my attacks, the Vicious Mockery actually shows up. And that's just because Vicious Mockery is an at-will, meaning I can do this every turn if I choose, and it does take my action, because it says casting time, 1 action. And so, other things that I would probably do is Hideous Laughter. I like to put this, even though it's a spell and it does take my spell slot to use, I like to put that over my attacks. Charm Person, I would probably put any spells. That way I can look at that sheet and know exactly what I can do on my turn. Even my healing, I would probably put over here in my actions. Just so I have it available, I can see what I can do. Now this right here, Vicious Mockery, this spell, there's no roll involved. This causes your opponent to actually do a wisdom saving throw. So they would roll this. And since they rolled a 14 plus 1, they rolled higher than the 13, so they would pass. Then you can click on the spell and see what happens. So nothing would happen in that case. There is certain spells that if they miss, they still have an effect, which is pretty nice. But so, yes, your actions in combat is you can attack, cast a spell, dash. Dash lets you move an additional 25 feet. Up to 25 feet. But you will lose your attack action. Disengage. You can disengage if you are right beside somebody and you try to move out of their area. They will get to use their reaction to do an opportunity attack against you. Like, if you're walking away from them, they get a shot at you. If somebody tries to run from you, you get an attack on them. Unless you have the disengage ability, which is why that's here. If you use the dodge, anytime that somebody tries to attack you, you can take a chance. It's kind of like increasing your defense for a turn. Grappled, that is trying to restrain somebody. That takes place of your action. Help, if somebody's trying to do a check, you can help them to make them gain advantage on their check. Kind of like cheering them on or somewhat helping them. The hide action, it takes your full action, so you would lose your attack. You can ready an action. Like, say you want the enemy to come closer to you. You can say, well, I would like to ready an attack for the first person that comes through this door. Or the first enemy to come through this door. And then somebody else would take their turn, somebody else would take their turn, and then the enemy would take their turn and come in. Then you would be able to do your action. Now, if that doesn't happen, then you just lose your turn. Like, if you say, I'm going to attack the next person that comes through the door and nobody comes through the door, then you've just lost your turn and you'll go back into the initiative order. Searching, shoving, using an object, all those things take your action. Then you have a bonus action. This character has 2-weapon fighting. So if he's carrying 2 weapons, which he has the rapier and the dagger, he would have the rapier in his main hand and the dagger in his offhand. So 2-weapon fighting allows you to use your bonus action to do a second attack if you're holding melee weapons. And if it is a thrown weapon, you can actually throw it. So if I wanted to, and your second attack, you actually don't add your dexterity modifier. So say I would roll to hit. So I would roll a 9. I would probably miss with that. So then I wanted to make a second attack with my dagger, which would be a 17. That would most likely hit. Now I would roll this, which would be a 3, but I would not add that 3. So it would just be a 3 damage, because the offhands don't add the modifier. Unless the modifier is negative, which we won't worry about that. I'll forget about that roll probably. And then unarmed strike, you can do that as an action too. And then his bonus action is Bardic Inspiration. 3 times per long rest, I can allow somebody to roll an extra d6 dice on top of a check. Now, sorry, I'm gonna circle back here. That if you want to make a d4 check without adding that +3, you can go down here to these dice and just click on the d4. And then it'll just give you the roll. So I wouldn't have to worry about adding and subtracting the 3s. If you ever wanted to roll multiple dice, like say you were rolling with advantage, you can come down here and click on the d20 twice and click on that screen that you shouldn't mean to click on. And then you'll roll twice. It adds them together, but you can just look at the numbers. So that's bonus actions. Reactions, that's the opportunity attack. If somebody tries to leave your area, you can get a free attack on them. Others are mostly free actions. Like if you want to talk, you can say something that, you can't hold a full-on conversation, but you can say a couple things. And then limited use, this is the Bardic Inspiration again. It's the same thing as here. It's just letting me know that once you use this 3 times, it's gone. And then we'll go over to spells real quick. Your spells, you can only use as many as you have spell slots. Right now, I have 3 spell slots. Now, these are all first level spell slots because I don't have any second level spells yet. If I want to use the spell Charm Person, in order to cast this, it's going to take one of my spell slots. Now say I need to cure somebody. That's going to take one of my spell slots. And say I want to use Hideous Laughter on something. That will take my 3rd spell slot. I can no longer cast spells until we take a long rest. I don't even think a short rest brings you back spell slots. I think it is only long rests that give you your spell slots back. I think there is certain abilities you can take, or feats or skills, that will allow you to get a spell back from a short rest. But for the most part, you want to take short rests until you're out of spells, and then try to settle down for a long rest. Inventory, this is what I was talking about earlier. You want to make sure all of your equipment that you're going to be using is actually equipped. Like if you look at my armor class here at 14, if I remove my armor, it goes down. So you always want to make sure you got this stuff on. Like I said, if I don't have my weapons equipped, they won't show up. And then you can look down here, you can see your features and traits. He actually has the ability Song of Rest, which doesn't show up on my actions, doesn't show up on my limited uses. Okay, I was just making sure the Jack of all trades automatically. Since I'm a halfling, when I roll a 1 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, I can re-roll it. So this is just something you have to look at and remember. A Song of Rest. If me or a friendly character who can hear my performance regains hit points at the end of a short rest by spending a hit dice, you regain an extra d6. So this magic ballad will give you better healing. And then I can move through the space of any creature that is half the size, and I can attempt to hide behind people, or if there's a creature in front of me, I can attempt to hide behind that creature. Description, these are things you can type in. if you would choose to. And it has the whole drop box over here. Notes, if you want to type things in here, say I mentioned somebody that you're like, oh, I think this person's going to be important. You could write down the names of your allies. You could write down the names of enemies that you hear. You can add to your backstory or others. Like, say I mentioned somebody and you're like, oh, I don't like that guy. Then you can add them to your enemies, and then whenever a name gets mentioned, you can check your enemies list and be like, do I know him? Oh, I do know him. He's the scum of the earth. But that's pretty much all this is. This is fairly simple, and I would recommend just keeping this sheet up while we play. Another thing is, I'm not in the campaign right now, but if you roll a dice in the campaign, everyone can see that dice roll. It'll show up down here. You can actually make a thing where everybody can see it, which is pretty nice. I wish that sometimes the dice would roll. You could set suspense for the dice. Would be really cool, so they would roll slower if you really wanted to slow roll an event or something. But that's it. So if you have any questions, just give me a call or send me a DM, and I will be more than willing to help you. Alright, take care. Thank you guys. Have a great day, and I'm excited for tomorrow.